Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. The following video will contain spoilers from the new movie Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Also, this video will be containing language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised. So, if either strong language or spoilers offend you, stop watching now. Also, quick little word. If any motherfucker out there decides to use my video and post it somewhere to spoil it for someone else, fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck your whole family, fuck the car you rode in on. No, I do not approve. I wrote a book. It's called The Book of Biospiritual Yum Yum Goodness. I got some rules in there. If we ever develop superpowers as a frickin' people, rule number 2 is don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. I feel cleansed. Anyway, hi guys, Dave here. Why did I have to say that? Well, I felt like it was important. I know that there are people out there that are being dicks and trolls, or I like to think of them internet goblins, because trolls too empowering, that are ruining it for people. And critics are also kind of panning the movie, although it's opened up on Easter weekend, and it's broken box office records higher than anything that Marvel's done so far. So it's actually pretty freaking huge. And I like it. I grew up reading both DC and Marvel comics. I don't have a particular preference. I like both. And this movie is a little different. Now, before I start going into more detail, I just want to start off. Earlier this weekend, I finally got to see the movie, and I wrote a review that had non-spoiler stuff in it. I was trying to find the right words, so I'm going to start off by reading a bit of my non-spoiler stuff, and I'll go into more of it into this the video here. If there's a word to describe this movie, it's polarizing. You're either going to love it as a gritty, hardcore adaptation for the most somber moments in comics, or you'll hate it for not being lighthearted and having any laugh-out-loud moments. Marvel has set a standard for superhero films to date, and some accustomed to that tone are going to be put off by the new standard in Batman vs. Superman. Then again, people have long dismissed superheroes as low-intelligent fodder, despite the critically acclaimed success of The Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen proving them wrong. If you're going to go for a laugh, don't go to see Batman vs. Superman. The material's taken seriously in here. This is not your Adam West, Christopher Reeve, Linda Carter, Saturday morning in the 70s Super Friends joke. This is taking storylines from the 80s and 90s that are more hardcore, that are more gritty, more violent, and are not safe from the Comics Code Authority. If you want grit, depth of character, a buildup of perspectives of the world's finest heroes coming to a climactic head, then this is a powerful piece of cinema. The actors and directors took everything seriously. Ben Affleck put on 23 pounds, got only a 2% body fat ratio. Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, everybody took their roles seriously and went into that. So, yeah, the first part of the setup was definitely to build up the characters and stuff behind it. But there isn't a lot of comedy. There's a couple giggle moments. There's no laugh out loud. This is not Deadpool. This is not funny quips here. Because this is not a movie from a funny book. This is drama. And this is an epic story, in my opinion. It's just the beginning of a future film dynasty that is it's unafraid to be faithful to the source material of the comics, pleasing the fans and not the critics. And that's where it really comes down to. It's not trying to appeal to people that are used to safe, comfortable, formulaic stuff where the good guys win, and we're used to that because that's what the Comics Code Authority and Screenwriters Guild said it has to happen. The good guys always have to win. This is something where you either have to win or lose because the world is that freaking dangerous. Now, I have a friend online that said that he's going to check out the other Batman movies with Ben Affleck in it, but he doesn't want to check out this, which I think this is a great disservice. In this movie, it's not an origin story. In fact, Batman's already been active for over 20 years. And he's grim, he's gritty, he's he's lost people along the way. He's fought, legendary battles and wars in the streets in the shadows, and we've never known about it until now. And we get to see also his motivation. I mean, Zack Snyder, of course, also directed 300, and Sucker Punch, and stuff like that. And that also comes to play into it, particularly when we start seeing the retelling of what happened with Bruce's parents, the funeral scene, and it goes from memory to dream. When you start to see a bat vortex carrying Bruce up into the light, you go, what the hell is this? But we get to see deeper parts of the psyche that make Bruce Wayne as driven as he is. He cares about people, and he's the kind of guy that he knows that if you don't take action, bad things will happen. And this gets really driven deeper and deeper, especially as he starts going after a bad guy that's supposed to be having a dirty bomb or a nuclear weapon. We also get to see the crap that Superman has to go through trying to save people and make things right, but shit goes sour, and just because he's around and not following rules and regulations set by the acts of war and other borders of countries, if no one does anything because no one's declared an act of war or whatever to go in there, if he'd have waited, people would have been dead. He went in to do what he could to save people, and the poor guy's just getting shot all over, I'm telling you. And we get to see build-up of both characters, getting building up here. Now, like I said, it's a little on the slow side. At first, it may not be all that exciting at the beginning part of the movie. Younger kids are probably not going to be, really catching on to it until you actually get to see Batman in costume, which frickin' Ben Affleck as an urban legend creature that when one of the first rookie cops finds him, like he's sitting in the freaking corner and takes a shot at him. Batman's supposed to be scary. He's supposed to be this nightmare thing that goes after people, but now he's gotten to a point where he's like, fuck it. He's not holding back anymore, because in a world of, men with the power of gods, you've got to do what you can to strike fear into people. And it's just interesting to see that kind of depth. And Gal Gadot plays, of course, Diana Prince in here, a very mysterious person who ends up interjecting herself into things. And, we don't know what exactly she is, but we know she's a mover, she's a shaker, and that. But we get to also see that, this version of Lex Luthor that Jesse Eisenberg plays, at first it was also a bit iffy, but he actually does capture that young wealth and brilliance, as well as a bit of that manic, almost psychosis into it. He becomes freaking diabolical near the end of it when you get to see just all the things put together. I mean, you got to keep in mind that this guy successfully has been playing all sides of the room on a freaking chess game that he's the one that ends up putting Batman vs. Superman together. But it's the way he does it, endangering people to push Superman's buttons. At one point, even threatening to kill Martha Kent if he doesn't go after the Bat, which at this point, Batman's also been going after a kryptonite bomb, the only thing that's known to actually hurt the Kryptonian, who he's convinced is a damn threat. I mean, there's a lot of drama in here. There's a lot of passion in here. Holly Hunter plays a great senator who's trying to get to the bottom of it, trying to get to the truth. And unfortunately, she gets screwed over in this movie as well. I mean, we even get to see Mercy. Lex Luthor's valet in here, but even she ends up paying a big price. It's just brilliantly dickish about how well this Lex Luthor is. And he's a villain that's not to be underestimated, especially when he gets a hold of the DNA of General Zod, uses Zod's fingerprints to access Kryptonian records, starts to get information about the 100,000 plus worlds that the Kryptonians have records on, and even starts to reformulate Zod's DNA into the image of a forbidden Kryptonian superweapon. Doomsday. This is scary shit here! Plus, it doesn't say it in there, but in all iterations, it looks like Lex Luthor has a photographic memory, or eidetic memory. If he was taught about 100,000 worlds, this is frightening. And also, you want to talk about frightening. The dream or nightmare sequence about a post-apocalyptic future with the Omega symbol carved into the ground, fire pits jutting up from the frickin' earth, a barren wasteland that is the city, Superman's stormtroopers and parademons. We know this is Darkseid, and this is a vision. This isn't just... the cool thing about this is, in the comics, there's a guy named Wesley Dodds, a.k.a. the Sandman, who he was known to have prophetic dreams or visions about dark things coming in the future, and they kind of do that to Batman in here. That, in a way, was kind of cool. Of course, one of the visions is also kind of given to us from a cameo of the Flash, which we get to see 2 cameos of him. One on some metahuman footage, another actually in an armored costume peering through a portal trying to warn Batman about the possible future. So it's really kind of messed up, but it's also deep, and it's actually pretty freaking cool in my opinion. So all this drama builds up, and we get to find out more and more about all these characters, and when we finally get to the climactic fight, holy shit. I mean, even before then, with Batman chasing after the bad guys in the Batmobile, going after this freaking kryptonite weapon, trying to trace this Russian guy. I mean, the Batmobile is just tearing through guys, going through buildings, jumping through a freaking brick building, taking out the part of a moving van that's got shit in it, like a goddamn land shark. This is frightening shit, but it was awesome. I mean, the play, all of this, every character actually did pretty darn well, in my opinion, here. And like when it comes down to the big fight, yes, we got Superman versus Batman. Everyone has their big things. Now, here's something else that got me. A true nod to the comic book fans. Years ago, I realized that Superman and Batman do have one big thing in common that was never really touched upon in comics. Kal-El's adoptive mother and Bruce's biological mother are both named Martha. I mean, this is too big of a coincidence to have never really been touched upon or never to have anything of significance. And it actually becomes extremely important in the film. When these two are throwing down, ideologically, I mean, Superman originally goes to Batman. He's told, look, you have to kill him, bring me the head of the bat, or I'm killing your mother. He's originally trying to talk to Batman. Batman's ready for fucking war, and he's throwing down shit. Superman's just lashing out at him. And even at a point when Batman is about to drive a kryptonite spear through his skull, Superman's last words, save Martha. And those words instantly resonate with Batman. He's freaking out. What does that mean? Where does that name come from? And Lois, risking life and limb to get in the middle of this thing, says it's his mother's name. And it stops him. I even told somebody, without trying to reveal anything, that the one thing that both these heroes have in common will ultimately bring them together. And eventually, Superman's going to the ship that Lex has activated because he's drawing power from all over the city. Batman goes to save Martha Kent. And it's just freaking brutal. He's a badass. This is Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns in here. This is hardcore. This is a badass Ben Affleck. And originally, I made a video freaking out. I was worried that we're going to get a Batman with a Boston accent. No. He's a fan. He's cool. He's an actor that's genuinely into this. He put 100% into it, and it shows, and it was very well done. So Ben, Henry, Gal, Zach, everybody, kudos, guys. Much props, much love. So then we got Superman ended up fighting Doomsday, unleashed by Lex Luthor. And it's interesting, because as he fights him, Doomsday adapts. Of course, they also changed something around in there, where Doomsday in the comics never really had the power to manipulate energy, but since he's a Kryptonian weapon, he started actually expelling energy and then recovering and healing damage from it. I'm like, oh my god, they gave Doomsday the super flare. It's bad enough for heat vision and coming out of his fucking mouth at the same time. They gave Doomsday the super flare. But then it comes for the world's finest to try taking him on, and what happens? Wonder Woman jumps into the freaking fray, blocks it with the shield. She's getting ready, and I'm telling you, the music, I thought it was the Wonder Woman theme, which technically it is, but the official name of the music is She With You? Guys, seriously, Google that shit, look for it on YouTube. This music was perfect. When it came time for shit to get done, she jumps in. There are times when Superman was knocked the fuck away, or he's doing other things. Wonder Woman's holding her own against fucking Doomsday. There was a DC special a few weeks ago that came on that told about Wonder Woman is essentially the oldest and the best fighter in the DCU. Over 5,000 years old. She's a badass. She's strong. She's tough. She's holding against freaking Doomsday, even cutting his goddamn hand off. And this music, I swear to God, when Is She With You plays, it was perfect. I mean, it's going to be, you have your favorite wrestlers or your favorite sports team, and that music comes on that you absolutely love. Everyone loses their goddamn mind. Doctor Who fans, the Doctor Who theme comes on, or I Am the Doctor comes on. People know shit's about to happen. When Is She With You starts to play, this is going to be the anthem for role players, for online gamers, for anyone that is a geek that wants something badass to occur. When you turn on Is She With You, you know shit is about to get real. It's that awesome. I love the hell out of it. And it just goes from there, man. Eventually, I mean, even just being around Kryptonite weakens and hurts Supes, but he ends up getting a hold of the damn thing, and he's getting ready to make a charge against Doomsday. And he does so, but Doomsday's already growing back his freaking hand into a freaking spiked weapon and impales Superman as he sticks it in his freaking chest. Now, I gotta admit, I did not go into this expecting the ending that happened in this film. It was... my jaw dropped. I was not expecting this. And the thing is, in retrospect, I kept waiting. I mean, wait, Superman got stabbed in the chest. He's not getting up. We're cutting to funerals, memorial services. I'm like, no. Just give him some sun. When's he coming back? No, you can't end on this. You can't end on this. Eventually, of course, though, dirt's thrown onto the ground. We hear like a heartbeat. The thing starts to, the dirt starts to go. And you know how the whole thing, when he starts to focus on getting ready to fly and dirt and a little particular starts to levitate a little bit, it starts to do that, and then it cuts to frickin' the credits. Admittedly, here's the thing. In the comics, Bane is famous because he broke Batman's back. In the comics, Doomsday is famous because he killed the Batman. I was not prepared for that actual ending. I knew that this was supposed to be the start of the freaking Justice League. I didn't expect Superman to die at the end of this fucking film. But Doomsday is known for killing Superman. And Zack Snyder directed Sucker Punch. I should have prepared myself for this. No one likes to go into a film feeling stupid. And looking at it like, that was a shock. But then again, we all know that Superman gets better. In fact, it's almost kind of appropriate that a hero that died to save people and that we know will eventually come back has a movie that opens up on Easter weekend. I'm sorry, that's appropriate right there. But, I mean, here's the thing. It also answers a question. Jerry Seinfeld had comedy back in the day where he was asking, Superman has got other guys in the Justice League, Aquaman, Green Lantern, whatever. Why the hell are these people needed when you have Superman? This actually sets that up to show why. Because Superman was the first big guy out there. But now that he's gone, others are coming out of the woodwork because they think that the biggest gun is off the frickin' table. So not only are villains coming out, but superheroes are having to step up to fill the void and the legacy of the Man of Steel. Now eventually, yes, he's going to come back. We know this. And this is actually good because we know as powerful as Superman is, as great as he is, he's not invincible. He manages to come back. I'm sure they're going to have an explanation about his Kryptonian physiology and the last remnants of the sun energy in his body. But that's just it. As great as he is, as powerful as he is, he can't do everything. He can't be everywhere. So there is no safe, happy ending. You can't guarantee that everyone's going to walk out of here. That creates a level of tension, of drama, of danger, that these are the biggest freaking superheroes in the DCU, and technically, none of them are safe. You never know what's going to happen. They're not afraid to take chances. They're not afraid to take risks. We peaked at an apocalyptic universe where Lois Lane apparently died, Superman is gone to the dark side, literally, and all hell is broken loose. This is a vision of a nightmare future that hopefully wasn't going to happen, but it sets up for Dark times are coming. So you've got to have your heroes that are bright and strong and are willing to step into the fucking light to stop the bad guys. It's not formulaic, guys. It's not fairy tales. It's not guaranteeing a happy ending. These are going to have to be fought tooth and nail against the most horrific things we've ever seen. I mean, Disney, which currently is the parent company of Marvel, they've got a thing going on where they don't think about heroes or villains anymore. They refer to the Marvel characters as characters. They're interchangeable. Good guys, bad guys, whatever. They're interchangeable depending on what perspective we decide to tell you what to think. But DC, if they're going to have bad guys, they're going to have fucking bad guys. When you've got good guys fighting, they've got ideologies that are clashing. These are perspectives that are hardcore, and they're trying to fight for what they believe is right, but are they being manipulated? Or do they have a point? And that's why we have our favorites here. But it's not safe. It's not predictable. It's not the same formula. And it's going to make you think at times. That is the big difference with the DC movies. It's not going to be your typical fare. And I like the gritty. I mean, I like the comedy stuff too when it's appropriate. But this isn't a movie for a funny book. This is a hardcore, serious-ass story. It's Shakespeare with superpowers. It's drama. It's the motivations and psyche behind these people are just as important, just as real, just as relevant as what power or gadgets or skills they're bringing to the table. It's not shallow. It's freaking awesome, in my opinion. I love both DC, I love both Marvel. But given the comic Civil War, originally that came out, that was about the Superhuman Registration Act. What they're doing in Captain America Civil War is mostly figuring out Bucky. And in my opinion, with the whole thing about Iron Man going from Iron Man 2 saying, you know, I am Iron Man, the suit and I are one, you can't have it, you can't have me, but I'm privatizing world peace, to a few movies going in saying, we need to be, controlled, we need to have regulations. We can't just be running wild, because otherwise we're no better than the bad guys. That's a bit of a backpedaling a bit, and it just seems, now, from what I've seen in the trailer, I know there's going to probably go into more of it, but right now, originally, Marvel Studios tried to push to put this movie, Captain America Civil War, up against Batman vs. Superman on the same weekend. And I'm sorry, but I would have loved to have seen both in a double feature, but there's no comparison. It's apples and oranges. But the dramatic bar that has been set in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, in my personal opinion, is going to make Captain America Civil War in the movie look like a slap fight over the last serving of shawarma. Yes, I said it! But yes, I'm still going to go see it. Captain America Winter Soldier is still one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. But the bar has been raised, gentlemen. We know the formula that Marvel's playing at. We know what they've been doing. And some people prefer that. You can't go into the DC movies expecting it to be the same as a Marvel movie. It's just not going to be that way. Each has their own differences. Some people aren't crazy about that. Here's something else to be reminded of. When the movie Star Wars first came out, the biggest critics, Siskel and Ebert, panned it. They both gave it 2 thumbs down. They hated it. They thought it was just sci-fi fantasy schlock, and it wouldn't mean anything. But the fans kept going to it. They proved the critics wrong. They loved it, and eventually that got back to the heads of the studio, producers of the show, that said, hey, you guys said this movie sucked, but all the fans beg to differ. It's making bank. It's becoming legendary. And they're proving you wrong. They had to go back and redact themselves. They had to go back and change their opinions. Well, now we go back and look at it again. Maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. This movie was made for the DC comic fans that loved Watchmen, that loved The Dark Knight Returns, that loved the death of Superman, and the eventual return of Superman. This is grim. This is gritty. This is life or death stakes on a huge scale that is no guarantee that there will be a happy ending unless the heroes win. And even then, it's going to be iffy. This deals with fallout. This deals with the ramifications that all actions have consequences. It's going to be pretty freaking big. I mean, for God's sake, the double cameo we get of The Flash, the first time we see Aquaman. This is not a joke! The first time we get to see about Wonder Woman and her dramatic past. And not only that, but, you know, Cyborg. Oh my God! A mother box! We get to see a mother box! This is going to be freaking huge. And it's going to be a setup for a huge thing that you either love it or you hate it. Some people are going into it going, meh, but that's their opinion, and I think it's because they might be set up for what they're used to seeing. But if you look back at the comics, there's some hardcore stuff in there. And that, if you take a look around, a lot of the reviews of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice are huge videos, like this one's going to be. There's a reason. There's so much to cover. And I don't want to spoil a lot for you guys. I'm trying not to, but in my personal opinion, it is most definitely worth watching. Go see it. I'm going to have to go see it again. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and it was freaking amazing. I got to go back and see it again just to catch some of the things I might have missed before with all the freaking action and the stuff going on. So I'm going to have to see this thing again. And I personally recommend go to see it. Just prepare. It's not going to be a laugh-out-loud comedy movie. It's going to be serious. It's going to be dramatic. Because it's not a joke. Go into it respecting that. Go into it knowing that it's not going to be the safe formula that you're used to. And judge for yourself. That's all I can say. I hope you enjoy it, because I certainly did. And I want to see it again. So what did you guys think? Please like, comment, subscribe, share, pass this bad boy around. And remember, don't spoil the fucking movie for anybody. And don't use my video to do it, you pricks. Alright. I feel cleansed. Well, I'm taking off, guys. Until next time, Dave signing off. Peace. Yum yum.